In order to better understand where mobile web strategies are defined and where they're owned inside of medium and large-size organizations, Netbiscuits commissioned a survey of over 300 chief marketing officers and chief information officers in the US and the UK. And what we found was that some of their motivations were similar, but some of their motivations were actually in conflict.
So there's a battle between the CMO and the CIO in organizations at the moment. The battle between the CIO and the CMO exists because of different objectives. The CMO focuses very much on the customer aspect. That will be things like increasing customer interaction, as well as increasing the number of channels available to customers. If you compare that to the CIO and what the CIO considers critically important, it's very much focused on increasing sales, as well as aspects like the technical implications of delivering on those objectives. In terms of looking at who has the most influence in organizations at the moment, the influence very much sits with the CIO. That will either be in sole ownership of mobile web strategy, or it may also be in joint ownership with the CMO, but it's very much in favor of the CIO currently, which is why the CMO is the one who is perhaps shouting loudest in organizations at the moment. So they are the ones pushing for sole ownership of mobile web strategy. They are the ones that are calling most for change. Another interesting factor with regards to the CMO push for mobile web strategy ownership is the fact that they're much more aggressive in their pursuit for control of that particular area, particularly when you compare that to the CIO. 51% of CMOs believe they should be in sole ownership of mobile web strategy. Also, only 9% of CMOs believe that it should increasingly become a CIO function. Now, when you compare that to the CIOs, twice as many CIOs believe that in actual fact it should become a CMO function. So CIOs are actually much more gracious in terms of their attitude towards the ownership of mobile web strategy. Another interesting finding from the report is the fact that CIOs have a much more realistic view of testing. 74% of CIOs would say that testing is critically important compared to only 50% of CMOs. So while the CMOs have that customer focus, it shows that also there is something to be said for the CIO in terms of being more pragmatic about the actual technical approach to deploying mobile websites.
Ultimately, these two sides of the organization have the same goal in mind. It's a better user experience. But while the Chief Information Officer is focused on the technical solution and the Marketing Officer is focused on the user experience, it's the combination of these two that will ultimately derive a superior mobile web strategy. So by bringing both of these sides of the organization together and having them collaborate, a company has the best of both worlds.